Hello and welcome to the KEYPOINT TV show with me, Jerry Etona Matthew, where we come your way each and every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10:30 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. You can catch a repeat same time on Sundays. Now, this is a show aimed at driving impact and action. So on the conversation for this premiere edition, I have three guests that are going to be talking about the youth and leadership, a tool for development. I have right here Mr. Latif Wali, who is the chairperson of the Togo National Debate Council, TNDC, and equally the yearly Mandela Washington Fellow. Next to him, I have Mr. Daniel Agbeblewu, who is the CEO of Pensodo and also a yearly fellow. And lastly, the only lady among the Miss Edwish Sabanko, who is a gender focal point, a youth activist, and also a yearly Mandela Washington Fellow. Now, there is a question I would like to ask our viewers. We talk about the youth being the hope of the future. But there is this question that always baffles me. Are we instilling the right ingredient, the right habit, the good habit into the youth at the youth stage so that they can make all the difference we are looking up to them for? Now, let's dive into the conversation. So I'd like to start first, Mr. Latif. What is your concept of youth leadership?
I think there is something that is really important. Thank you so much, Jerry, for the question. There is something that is really important, especially when it comes to talking about leadership. I think youth leadership today for me, is completely a lost one. Yes. Because young people don't find themselves into, which kind of leadership are they really into. So because to start, we have three types of leadership. We have the utilitarian leadership, we have the deontological or teleological leadership, and then we have the virtue leadership. The world is now based on theories. Exactly. So whether we like it or not. So the youth today is completely, we started from our home education with a lot of virtues taught to us and all those stuff. Then we went to school, we know what we've been taught and all those stuff. Then we have our own environment where we are taught a lot of things too, from our friends and from our own experiences. Then we have what society itself is now teaching us, or the professional domain is now imposing on us, which is now misguiding a lot of things in youth. Today, young people are they don't know what is their standard, where to stand from. Today, a young person that is unemployed can tell you, I need to be a virtuous leader. I need to be an ethical leader. This is what I need to do. We need to work based on positivity and all those stuff. But just put him into some professional domain, especially in politics, especially in geopolitics or whatever, in diplomacy, you will see a lot of changes into him or her, and which is now a very problem, and that I'm going to talk about that later, especially.
Okay, so it is very interesting, a very good submission. I agree on most of the points you said, because we think we need a bit of guidance actually when it comes to youth leadership. At times we try to cut our coat not according to our size. Exactly. So Mr. Daniel, what is your concept about youth leadership?
Okay, thank you for the opportunity, and I'll take this chance to send my greetings to our lovely viewers outside there. And whenever we talk about youth leadership, many people, their attention goes on, position, holding title, getting nomination, and so forth. But personally, I think being youth leadership is about being an image and a reflection of a better, dynamic, and peaceful world as a youth you would like to inhabit. It is just, identifying problems in your community and taking steps more or less and solve these problems in your very small little way, not by force getting the help from, other people. It's being, the change you personally you want to see outside in the world, and especially the refusal of becoming what you have once criticized. What you see is not good, you don't become a typical example. So this is what I can say about youth leadership here.
Okay, it's a very great point. I equally agree with you, because we are all youth here, exactly. And most of the times we have issues with, sometimes when you begin to criticize someone, you probably end up becoming the person. So it has to be an everyday battle that you have to engage with yourself in order not to become what you detest. So Miss Edwige, what is your concept?
Okay, thank you, Jerry, for this opportunity. I want to simplify the concept of youth leadership to bring it back to the grassroots. Okay. So I think when I consider a young leader like a person who take initiatives in his community.
Okay.
This is first. And after it, it's also about taking responsibilities, because like you have to be engaged in the work or activity organized around them in their community. And the third point I want to talk about is like taking part into like community services, like I said, but taking like responsibilities by taking like positions. I don't know if you get it.
So you go a bit against what Daniel just said about not just having the titles and positions.
Yes.
So you think titles and positions are important as well as the work you have to do in the community?
Yes, especially the young people, because they used to just be there like going with adults without taking responsibilities. So I think they must go for responsibilities within like the places where adults are.
I think Daniel
Yeah.
has an objection to that.
This is somehow tricky, but if you tell me you have to be in a position before you become effective, that is a fallacy.
But
Let me give you a common example.
Don't you think sometimes you may have the right idea, the right way to put into practice, but without being in that position, it becomes difficult to implement those ideas?
I say this is our biggest problem we are having, as youth. If you see yourself as the main man before you can achieve something,
okay.
it is false. You have to learn to support, other people. And when you talk about position, let me give you an example of a common police officer who is redirecting traffic on the street. If this person chooses to be a leader, it's possible he's not supposed to be the DPO before making decision. He can refuse to correct bribe when motor riders and drivers are in fault and take them through the legal processes. There also comes leadership.
Yes.
So you don't need to by force hold the position before you become a leader. That's what it is.
Well, Jerry, I really like this conversation already. You understand now why I'm saying the young people, like the youth, is completely now lost about what is leadership is about. Because some people think you need to be virtuous. Some people think it's about position. You need to take position for you to know what exactly to do. Because some people, and a lot of us think about that, right? People think. Imagine me being the president of this country, for example, so I'm going to do more than what the president is doing. A lot of people say this, right? Yeah. But the reality is completely different.
If you don't wear the shoe, you don't know how hot it is.
Exactly. Now, I think the point is this. Every single person has some principles to follow. And based on these principles, you have a guideline for yourself. Some, like, to be respected 100%. Sure. Now, what happens is, sometimes you criticize someone, and now when you put yourself into that person, now what happens is there are a lot of circumstances you find yourself in which obliges you now to go and be taking some decisions even against your own principles.
Exactly. A compromise.
And then people will start now misjudging you from outside. Now, when you say you're going to be a virtuous leader, this is what happens. He just said right now, when you're a policeman on the road, you don't have to be collecting bribes. Now, there are also some other circumstances that push you to be collecting bribes, which is, one, do you have your fellows that collect it? Yes. Do you have your DPO that does that? Yes. Do you have any person that normally that you consider as an example, as a model that does that? Yes. Do you have some circumstances, do you have demands, needs that you need to fulfill as a father of your own family? Yes. What is the salary you collect at the end of the month? Is it really sufficient for you to be that virtuous leader that you want to be?
If I understand, there are certain things that go beyond the person's own.
There are certain, exactly.
Exercise leadership.
Exactly.
Now, I know you would want to add more, but let's delve more into other aspects. Now, what conditions? Let me start with you actually.
Okay.
What conditions do you think should be present to favor youth leadership? Because we already gave the example of the policeman, so we can use his example as a case. For example, now he's a policeman on the road directing traffic. He spoke about you don't need to be in a position or the particular title to be able to exercise that leadership. He also made a submission about some of the factors that go beyond you being someone who wants to be a virtuous leader. So in your view, what conditions can be present for us to have youth leadership?
Okay. In my point of view, I think like the first condition is what adult inspires you to do.
Okay.
Like adults should be the good example for the youth to see in terms of leadership, right? So, and the second one is like today you should not just stay and don't be cultivated or don't know about what is going on elsewhere. Like they have to go to cultivate themselves, look for information about what other young people are doing in other countries.
You have to source yourself from
yes, for other young people, from other young people. And then I think also like the conditions should be created for youth to express their leadership, because sometimes like I wanted to come back on the first aspect we were talking about, because sometimes young people want to they want to take action, but the conditions are not there for them. Like the adults are like, oh, you are young, you are still young, you don't have anything to say, just stay there, you don't know anything. And at the end of the day, they are the one coming back and say like our youth is useful. We don't see them.
Users actually what you mean.
Yes. Yes, the youth is useless, yes, because when we need them, we don't see them. But young people want to take actions, but the conditions should be there for them to take these actions. So the adults should understand that at a certain point, let's just give the lead to the young generation and let them do what they can, like what they know, like what they can do. How can I say it, like.
And let them prove themselves.
Yes, bring their proof. Yes.
I want to go to Mr. Daniel on the same idea. What conditions? She spoke about having a role model as an adult, and also having the condition that allows you to transition. So the adults move and then the youth come in. What is your concept or your factor for good youth development?
I think when we will talk about conditions, it will depend on each leader. Okay. But I get two condition that I favor most here. Okay. First is the will of the youth becoming a leader. Okay. Because if you do not have the will, it will be very difficult for you. If you have the will, the desire of being useful to yourself, making something good for your family and to your community, there it makes it somehow easy for you. And secondly, I would like to say an environment and an atmosphere which believes in the potentials, the abilities, the capability of the youth. Okay. And this remind me of an unfortunate experience I had back in the days. My brother sent me for a painting business in one company, and when I arrived at the company, the director was just looking me directly like this and asking me how may he help me. And I told him I was the one supposed to come for the painting contract. And he made a funny smile and picked his phone and called the brother. I told you I'm looking for a master painter, and you sent me this little boy. So you see, when you are young, these are some of the challenges. They hardly believe you can be accountable. They can hold on you when it comes to some kind of thing. So I think if the community in which you are believes in your ability, and you to have the will to make something good for your community, then you are good to go. All the other conditions, I can say you can leave them behind. Yeah.
So, Mr. Latif,
I think we have this problem of generational gap.
Okay.
We have some people that consider themselves leaders, and now they consider themselves like the almighty leaders. Okay. So they need to leave before some new people will come in, right? Which is now creating a lot of problem with our young people. Let me tell you this. Young people have a problem of corruption just because they took their time being unemployed, looking for time and opportunities to replace old people, and they didn't get. And now they end up like into the same shoes that old people did before leaving.
Okay, so we are repeating the same thing.
Exactly. Now, the problem about all this is this. For me, I think is the lack of patriotism that brings all this.
Patriotism?
Yes. Yes.
That is a big word to use.
It's a very big lack of patriotism that brings all this. Because if you have this patriotism, I'm telling you the truth, that when you are young and you are like recruited into an organization or you're working for your government, I'm telling you the truth, there are some level of things that you cannot do. Okay. Because you see what can be the impact of it on your generation to come, on the country, and all those stuff. Jerry, let me surprise you. There are a lot of young people, because we are talking as if it's only old people that are working, only adults that are working, and young people are starving for the moment. There are a lot of young people working. They are into the professional domain, they are working, and the result is very, very bad. Okay. So does it mean they are setting as a bad example to the other youth? No. The point is very simple. Young people need to be, like, the educational system of young people need to be revisited. There are a lot of things that need to be revisited from us. Our universities, the educational system in our universities are very poor. When you take a lot of faculties, I know what I'm talking about. I'm currently working on that. My PhD dissertation is based on, like, totalitarian leadership, utilitarian leadership, and all those stuff. So I know what I'm talking about. In our university, when you go to Anglophone countries, do you know what happened? A lot of Anglophone countries, they have faculties of leadership, faculties of management. When you come to our Francophone countries, we don't have that. When you go to Accra, they have Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration. We don't have that in Togo. We don't even have a faculty in which, look, someone...
I think I did a research on the school. I don't want to mention the name of the school because I was supposed to do an activity there actually. They do have, but I think some of them, they don't put it as a department on its own. They are put under some other department.
Are you talking about a private school?
Yeah.
A private school?
Yes, that's
simple. What I'm talking about is private schools, the government wants, because the majority of the young people go to public universities.
Exactly.
Someone will just do 3 or 4 years at the English department, just take a paper saying, I have my license or I have my bachelor's degree, and now wants to venture into the professional domain. What is the leadership skills you inculcated into that person? Nothing. So the person now ends up doing useless things, and now you start accusing youth. Now, there are a lot of things to be done. A lot of departments need to have, like, a lot of curricula about leadership and patriotism and how to love your country and all those stuff. A lot of countries have that, and we see the result. They have a lot of positive results.
You will come to the solution aspect then. Now, viewers, we are still on the youth and leadership as a tool for development. We'll be going for a quick break. When we come back, we are still live on the show. Welcome back. We are still on the Key Point, which comes your way every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10:30 a.m. and 5:30 p.m., which I repeat on Sundays. And on this edition, Mr. Latif was talking about some of the things that we need to do in terms of education, the department, the leadership, and all that. But we'll be moving shortly to some other aspect. I mean, something more personal or exemplified. Yep. When we come back to the solutions, I would like to have much of your views on that. So I want to start with Ms. Sabanko. What are some of the leadership programs you've already undertaken? Okay,
I've gone through many leadership programs, mainly the Yali Accra in 2016, and then I'm a Mandela Washington Fellow of 2022. It means last year.
Last year. Yeah. Congratulations for being able to go. We are in a francophone country here, but you're able to deal with English people a lot. I hope the experience was good. We'll come back to that. Okay. Mr. Daniel, what are some of the leadership programs you've undertaken?
Yeah, talking about, leadership programs, I have undertaken both virtual ones and, on-site ones. So probably the on-site one is the Young African Leadership Initiative in Accra, and it was back in 2018. Yeah, I did that in 2018. The virtual one, it was just last year, the World Bank Youth Development Program. Yeah, I took part in it, but it was virtual.
That's equally a great opportunity, Mr. Latif.
Yeah, I was same promotion with Sabanko. We went last year to the US for the Mandela Washington program. I was also Yali Accra, and I went also for the APLP. There are a lot of programs that I went to.
Okay. Yeah. Now we spoke about some of these experiences, but some people say there are not much leadership programs. For example, I'm actually part of a WhatsApp group that they send all those things most of the time. So I don't know if, when we were talking earlier about the conditions that can enhance or favor youth leadership, I think being able to go through some of these leadership programs is one of the key things that a youth can do to, develop himself and then the community and all that. So how did you hear about those programs? What sources did you get the information from? Mr. Daniel, let me start with you.
Okay, let me say it was my first biggest life experience because I was just out of the senior high school, beginning my first year on campus. And I remember that very day I went to the office of Mr. Wali.
Okay.
He was the president of American Corner. So I went and see him and I said, really, I like to know more about, the English programs they were having and stuff.
So we have a model here.
they get me integrated into the club. So when I was participating in the club program there, they give this opportunity which is out there, and any youth, once you have a project, you can easily redact, then you are good to go. So my own, it was from him. I get my opportunity from him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
Really
Latif,
well
for inspiring another young person.
Thank you.
Miss Savanko.
Okay, I got the information from an elder in that 2016 because it was at the very beginning and the information was not like spread like today. So I got it from an elder, and today I can also say that the link is available. When you guys you stay in a network, they can easily share it on the platforms and all this.
Now, Mr. Latif,
Yeah, I
think a pioneer of the leadership.
Yeah, I started serving at American Corner since 2013. When I got to university, I was Secretary General. Then I became President of American Corner. So made me a little bit more closer to the U.S. Embassy. So a lot of these programs, I know them. So what Humphrey, Susie, AYLP, the Yali program and all those stuff. So I was even there when the Yali program started with the first edition. So, and I knew almost all the cohorts of Mandela Washington that went since 2014 till today. So that's fine.
Now we've already enumerated some of the leadership programs, but I want to be specific on, since you have in common the Yali and the MFW. So I want to start again with you. How do you enroll? I mean, you have the link or you had information from someone. How do you participate, or how do you fill in the forms and all that? How does the process begin?
The process is very simple. They have the Mandela Washington Fellowship website, that is YaliMandelaWashington.org, right?
Yeah.
And you go there, you just click on apply during the time that is the launching time, the time frame, and now you can apply. So the application is very simple. People think when they say you need to have a project, so you need to have a project written down, then you come and no. Even though you have a project that you are foreseen to do it, you have a future way of doing it, you can very easily go to it. There are questions that are asked, and you answer these questions, and this now makes your files for you to it's very, very easy. And there are also guidelines. You have time to just answer some few questions, just save it, go back, do more researches, and come back and continue. And you have also the time to come to us or to people like Sabanko, old folks, to seek for helps and assistance to help you finish I remember last year we were doing the whole tour from Lomé to Dapao, in order to sensitize people to apply for that and just to assist them.
I contacted you myself before I even knew you.
Okay.
So I have contacted, because actually I applied for the fellowship, but I think I wasn't allowed this. I think it was last year or so in the window. So I'm thinking of applying once again. Actually,
you have to.
Yeah, because I also did Yali, I think 2020, if I remember correctly, at Gimpa in Accra.
You have to.
So we are all in the same fraternity.
You have to, because this year I think the participation level, the application level is a little bit lower, so try to apply, please.
Thank you very much for the enlightenment. So Mr. Daniel, when you were applying, he spoke about some guidance, some questions you have to answer on the page. Did you receive any external help, maybe from someone who has already participated, and how was the experience like with the person helping you to participate? I mean, in the Yali.
Okay. I would say when I heard about the opportunity, personally, I went online and I read about the opportunity, and I noticed they were looking for people willing to lead, people with ideas, and people who believe in unity, being togetherness. So when I went on the application, I didn't have the assistance of anybody. It's just simple. if you read about it and you know what to put there. The only challenge I had was they were asking past experience, because the experience you have had before and stuff. So I asked a brother, what may I probably put there? As I was telling, I was just coming from the senior high school and so he told me anything that I have done and is positive to support my application I should give. And I remember back in school, from Form 1 to SS3, I have always been the class prefect. And I have led English group, and I was part of the English group who participated in the Total competition 2017, and we were the national champion. So with all those stuff, I backed the application, and I was good to go. Yeah.
Congratulations for your win that year. Mr. Banco, I know when it comes to this leadership program, you have done both Yali and Mandela Washington. What are some of the tracks or the different fields of leadership within that leadership program?
Okay, we have like 3 mainly tracks for both programs, whether for the Yali, regional Yali Accra or Dakar or the Mandela Washington Fellowship. Let's talk about let's say like the Accra, Dakar one is Francophone, because we have been talking about the English one, but we are in a Francophone country and we need also to talk about the Dakar one. So the 3 tracks are like business and entrepreneurship, civic engagement, and public management. So
quickly, which one did you partake in Yali?
In Yali, it was business and entrepreneurship.
And in Mandela Washington?
Civic engagement.
You switched.
Yes, I switched.
In Yali, which one did you?
It was in the business track.
Okay.
I did public management in Accra, and I did civic engagement in the US.
A twist.
Yeah.
Now let's go more with when you went to. I'm going to start with Mr. Daniel. When you went for the program, what are some of the key things? Just maybe 2 things you learned from the experience you acquired during Yali.
Yeah, when I went to Yali, I had the opportunity to meet with people holding doctorate degree, master's degree, businessmen.
How you didn't feel too small?
No. In the beginning, you will feel too small, because when you see the title around you, and there was something interesting about Yali, that there was a section they talk about, personal life success and life experiences. So there I discovered, back in the days, there were people academically excellent. They were good. But once they end with studies, it was very difficult for them to find job opportunities. They have to run back to the streets, find a problem and build something for themselves. And it was successful. And also I noticed that there were people who were blaming government and the leadership systems in their country for years, but nothing changed in their life. And one thing was that there were 9 countries, and I made my best possible to have a friend in every single country. And throughout our conversation, I noticed one thing, that all the countries which were present, there were advantages and difficulties in every country. So my biggest lesson was that as a youth, it is where you decide to focus your attention that will lead you to your ends. If you decide to focus on the difficulties in your country, then you get difficult results. But if there's more advantages and you focus your energy and try to bring something good from there, you are good to go. So I can say that was the experience and lesson I learned there.
We move to Mr. Latif.
Yeah, I think that this is something that's really easy. When I went to the training, whether in Accra or the Mandela Washington, I didn't care about the leadership training itself, because I know what's new that I'm going to get from them, right? The most important thing that's been useful to me is the networking, where you meet a lot of new people from all the countries, from different domains, and you need to learn from all these people. Today there are a lot of things I do, and without the networking system, without people I knew and a lot of things I learned from these people, I couldn't have achieved what I'm achieving today. And
you tap into the resources you're able to acquire from
yes. That's the most useful thing from the 2 programs. Seriously.
And Daniel, you were telling me earlier the Pensodo idea or being able to realize it came from the experience you acquired there.
Yeah, of course. At Yali, I met a Ghanaian friend, and he was into community management and art. So we get a session where we interact, like what you can do and how you can come together and do something. And in my senior high school time, I'm used to painting. And I know many staffs are painting, so I was discussing this idea with the friend. He said, wow, it's a very interesting thing. Why not getting more training in the sector and then we make a business, because it is working in Ghana. And I told him Togo also, there's a future for, the painting, company. So back in Togo, I tried getting some training and learning more stuff about painting. And I went and showed him, and he too started with some publication and website creating. And with that, we began the pencil dot company, and trust me, now it is moving small.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So, Miss Abang.
Yes, I can say that Yali has transformed my life, because before going to that Yali program in 2016, I was I took part in many community services, but I didn't know what leadership was about concretely. So when I went there, I learned from I was first impressed by the kind of young people I met there, because I met young people from the same age with me, but with very huge experiences. And I was like, what am I doing in my country? It was like I'm sleeping. So from there, I decided to be more active, take more initiatives. So when I came from that, Yali, my life has changed, and now I started being more active in civil society organizations and all this, and taking responsibilities.
We are almost at the end of the time, so I want to take your last words. What advice do you have for young leaders?
I have only 2 advices for them. They should stay in network, because today you cannot do anything without a network, without being part of the network. And they should also go for opportunities that are there for them, because today there are a lot of opportunities for young people, and they should go for these opportunities. Thank you.
So, Mr. Daniel, from your personal experience creating a business and all that, what can you tell the young people today?
You see, as a young guy, I understand the pain, the agony, the affliction, and the soreness of being a young person in this part of our world. And especially in this era where, the majority of Togolese, the youth, they do not see their future in this country. But I would like to advise them that they are their personal architect for their future or their well-being. So they shouldn't see the challenges in Togo right now. They should try and get themselves involved in any activity they like with passion. And I think, by the grace of God, they can make it.
That is a very motivational speech you gave there. So, Mr. Latif, we're wrapping up with you.
Togolese youth has this problem of, not always, we don't know our usefulness. How important are we? What is the importance of that's within us? How can we be useful to us and to our community? We don't know that. Sometimes you need to go out for someone to tell you, oh, so you are good, you are great, you have this capacity, and you'll be like, really? Look, young people should start learning from themselves. They should start thinking beyond the box, outside the box. They have to stop limiting themselves to what they just see. They have to go beyond that. And today there are a lot of things that you can learn even from internet. Go to that. Don't always just stick to what you learn from university and be seeking for jobs. So there are a lot of things to do, and the world is moving. So if you waste your time, you stay behind.
Thank you very much, Mr. Latif, Mr. Daniel, and Ms. Sabanko for being present for this conversation. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up for now, but I'm hoping to meet you guys some other time on very interesting issues. So this is to the end of the KEYPOINT TV show, the premiere edition. You can watch us every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10:30 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays. You can equally follow us on YouTube, the KEYPOINT playlist on New World TV, and also on Facebook, the KEYPOINT with double I in between. Thank you for being with us, dear viewers. Thank you, Mr. Akleso, the director for this program, Fofo, the studio manager, and also Solange for broadcasting this program. See you next week.